Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. And it's a beautiful day for the Pirate Broadcast, and we are here again with interesting people doing interesting things. And I just want to share a few housekeeping efforts here is that, if you can't watch the show live, you can always listen to the podcast. You can always go to russjohns.com/pirate broadcast and listen to all the episodes. There's over 250 episodes there available for your consumption. And also like, comment, and share on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and just share the love of the pirate community. Get connected, get engaged, and start a conversation. And today our conversation is with Deon, who's an awesome, amazing individual that I wanted to talk to for a long time. And we connected early this year on her show and doing some things together. And then I wanted to have her return the favor and join us on the Pirate Syndicate and Pirate Broadcast and Pirate Community. So you're now a pirate, Deon. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
You're here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. And it's great to reconnect with you. I said we were always going to be connected. And I said that back in April, maybe late March. And here we are again, coming full circle in the same year. So I'm honored. Thank you so much for having me.
You have a podcast as well, and it's the Failure Report. And if anyone out there, is interested in some amazing content and you want to consume another podcast, go check out Deon's Failure Report, where I think you're pretty transparent about it. Maybe you could share a little bit of inside information on that.
Oh, absolutely. So the Failure Report is where we interview entrepreneurs, and celebrities about their professional failures. And to say that I'm obsessed with failures is an understatement. I am really invested in my future and in the past. I really love history and all of those things. But when I was becoming an entrepreneur and graduating college and matriculating through life, I never learned the hard lessons. No one ever told me I was going to fail. No one ever told me that first business that I thought was absolute genius was not actually really a good idea at all. No one told me. I had to learn everything that I know today the hardest way possible. Yeah. Did someone else have it harder? Absolutely. So we interviewed them. Did someone fail and then failure in their success? Absolutely. So that's why we interviewed them. And this summer, we've reached 10,000 downloads. And I could not be more proud of our little baby. She's approaching a year old. And you can stream the Failure Report anywhere you consume content, especially Spotify and iTunes Music or iTunes Podcast. They changed the name on me and I can't seem to get that name right. So iTunes.
I use Deon. I use the line where all fine podcasts are sold.
I love that. We're all fine because you got Podcast Beam, you have a live stream, you have Google Music, and we're all those places. So please, all the places. So please, we're about to start season 3, which is exciting. We took a little break, big mistake, learning from the failures, and then I'm also doing some mini-sodes, just talking about why I started the Failure Report and about my personal failures, because I get to interview great individuals, but I never really get to tell my story. So the mini-sodes have just started last week, so you can catch up really easily and forgot what we're doing. It's also on YouTube. So we like to hear for all the sensories, hear me, see me, talk, chat back, all the things. Yeah.
So I would love to promote that and share that with the pirate community. And also I want to give a shout out. A couple of people in the room. I know that Don is here saying morning all. Hey Don, how are you doing? And Jill Sullivan. Jill, I hope you're having a fantastic day. She's a chef. She's going to go probably has to go off and cook for people right now.
Awesome.
So thank you for being here, Jill. Love you. And Christopher Gray, so true. So true. Failure is part of I think the lesson that may not be comfortable. However, sometimes it's necessary to really learn what works and what doesn't work. And I know that we've had this conversation before, and we were talking
Mhm.
before the show, is that, I've had more failures than most people start businesses. And, I've created products that went nowhere. And, I
Yeah.
thought it was the best idea since sliced bread. And,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
have to go through the process of understanding that not everything is meant to be.
Right.
And,
Right.
and I think it's really about the resiliency that we have, and some of the things that, so talking back to your story,
Yeah.
you're resilient. You've been through the ringer a couple of times.
I
And
am.
so walk us through that story, and kind
Yeah.
of some of the adventures that you've experienced that have allowed you to become who you are,
Yeah.
grown as an individual, and maybe drop a little inspirational message on the community here to know that it's okay.
It's okay. It's
It's okay.
okay. And I don't actually trust people that don't fail. You interview people and like, tell me your biggest failure. And they're like, oh, I haven't experienced failure. And I'm like, oh, yeah, well, we're probably not going to get along, even as just people. Because if you're not willing to just be honest and say, like, there is something that I felt really strongly about and it didn't pan out. I will never forget my very first college, my first professional was to manage a politician who was running for mayor at the time. And I put so much of my time, effort, and energy into it. I mean, I had just graduated college. There was no such thing as social media at the time, despite how young I look. Um, this was almost in the 90s. And so it was really early 2000s. And I was, I, I really was excited about, winning. And we lost bad. And it was gut wrenching. And it was the first time that I decided to, what I call, take the fetal position. I wanted to just stay in bed and lament on the fact that I tried so hard. I knocked on every door. What could I have done differently? And then I went down the list of all the things that I should have, could have done. Should have done this, should have, could have done that, should have gone here. And I, I, I had to pick myself up, and it took a long time for me to really be able to do that because I experienced that first bout of professional shame. I had met a lot of individuals. I was
Yeah.
starting to make a name for myself in that ecosystem, and I had to go out and face those same people. And they're like, "Oh, Deon, ooh," I got the face, everywhere I went, and it was a thing that I said, I want to learn something from this situation. And I remember my mom, who's a psychologist, and if she wasn't my mom, she'd be my dearest friend.
Yeah.
That was just like, so what are we going to learn from this? And I'm like, I don't want to learn. I just want to cry, and and what I learned is that I had something to offer because what most politicians were looking for were individuals that learned from their failures. Because now firsthand what not to do if you want to be successful. And shortly thereafter, after that loss, I got another opportunity to manage a gentleman that was running for city council. That same gentleman that ran for mayor that year went on to be our U.S. congressman, and I managed his Senate and congressional race and worked for him. Dr. Parker Griffith, I worked from the state of Alabama. I worked for him for many, many, many years. It catapulted my career into this stratospheric state that if I had not have decided to just try again, you know what I mean? To just
Yeah.
go and have the tough conversation.
If you stayed in bed in the fetal position, you would have not had that opportunity.
Exactly. My muscles would have created atrophy. My mind would have never been able to be used. I'd have never grown. And that was my first really big trial with that, And so I started doing lots of government contracts. I lived in Huntsville, Alabama. I don't know if I have any Alabamians. Actually, I'm not from Alabama. I represent Alabama like I'm from there because I can put on the accent and everything, but I'm not from Alabama. I am from Tampa, Florida, but I lived in Huntsville for 20 years. And I started
Just
doing so many
pop.
government, yeah, yeah. I started doing so many government contracts and working for NASA and missile defense and all of those things. And then 2008 happened. And I will never forget my face. It was a bad face when someone said, we're going to end up being furloughed. And this was one of my colleagues that also worked in marketing. And we were doing a lot of marketing and branding at the time. And I was like, we're not going to be furloughed. I have a contract with the government. And I remember my head was like, oh no, we're never, I will sue them before they take my contract. Mind you, I had to back up in my mind and even understand at that time, I didn't even know what furloughed meant. I knew it was negative and I knew it was something about not having what I currently had. Those
Yeah.
are the two pieces that I
Taking
knew.
away something I had.
That was it. That's all the
Okay.
reference that I had on that. And I wasn't smart enough to even go to Webster. 2008, we did have cell phones with Google. So I didn't even, say, hey, Google, what is a furlough? Um, my naivety led me to losing all of our contracts. I had 23 staff at the time. I had to terminate all of them at what I thought would have been a gathering of, I took them all out to dinner to have this conversation, and they felt extremely betrayed by that gesture, which was hard in and of itself.
Yeah.
It was, again, I had a choice. Here we go. 6 years after my first fetal position episode, here I go, wanting to crawl back and say, like, what am I going to do? And I, unlike what we're going through right now, our international waters were still open to us and borders were open to us. I lived in France in college, so I spoke the language and I traveled extensively. So I had some friends and some connections there. And I had just gotten married. I just got married in 2008. We just bought a house, like all the things that you're supposed to do when you're, in your late 20s, I guess I was at the time. And I thought I was supposed to do then. There's no metrics on when you're supposed to do this. I had my own notebook. Like, by this time, you have this
Yeah.
many things, you have that, you
You
have
had
this
a checklist is what you had.
I had a checklist. I had a checklist.
That went
And
out the window in
oh,
2008.
oh, everything went out the window. Mind you, I don't even have kids. I do have the marriage still. The checklist went to hell in a handbasket, man. But I went to France. I met a gentleman that was he was a restaurateur that was expanding his hotel empire into Bermuda.
Mm.
The time pretty bizarre to me. And he was like, we need somebody to do our marketing and, help us with some logistics issues that we're having doing some import exports. And, I had no idea how to do imports,
It just sounded
export.
interesting, so you decided to pick it up?
It sounded like I could Google it. It sounded like someone was going to tell me how to do this. I said, yes, first, learn later.
Yeah.
Do I think it's a great idea? Not necessarily. Did it work out for me? Yeah, it really did. And it's amazing how now that I talk about failures and I talk about the failure report, and I have a great time now being able to chuckle at being furloughed, I realize how much failures happen for us, to us.
Yeah.
And it's so hard in the moment to not think that failures are happening to break you down, or it's the universe just that hates you, or it's bad decisions that you made. But failures happen for our good. And
Yeah.
the moment I realized that every time I failed, I mean, I'm using air quotes for our audio broadcast.
Podcast audience.
Yeah. Every time I failed, it was a stepping stone. It was a boulder to the next
Yeah.
opportunity. And in the moment, I didn't see it. In the moment where I was doing my head movement saying I was going to sue the government, I didn't understand how that failure was going to propel me to so many amazing things. How I was going to be able to rehire about 60% of my staff, how I was going to be able to travel back and forth to Bermuda and live on pink sand beaches, small things,
Oh,
and help this
that's
hotel to be able to grow.
it's amazing how we do this, and I want to give a shout out. I want to
Yeah.
give a shout out to someone that's helped me through many failures. Frank Padani and I have
Yes.
worked together in and out of organizations, and Frank has helped me survive a couple of dark moments in my life and
Wow.
failure. And I just the fact that he showed up today in the pirate broadcast is testament to
Yeah.
we have an opportunity to fail. We have almost an obligation to fail
Mhm.
throughout life and learn from those lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we have friends and we have family and we have support and we have some people around us, everybody has somebody,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, even though you may not know or you may not realize that people care about what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
there are
Mm-hmm.
people out there that do care about what you're doing. And
Which
I
is
think it's
awesome.
important for us to recognize that that is, in fact, part of the process in the healing process and the ability to uh, move forward at some point in time. And it's just amazing to me that Frank is an individual that I really care about and I've known for years. And thank you for showing up, Frank. I really appreciate it. And
That's
Gabriel here. Gabriel Gabriel started broadcasting much like I am. He's doing in the afternoon, and we've gone through many experiments, Gabriel and I, going back and forth and finding out what works in this broadcast community and finding out what
awesome.
when
Yeah.
things take place and everything else that can go wrong, will go wrong, and just accept it and be resilient around it.
Mm-hmm.
And Howard Kaufman, a startup entrepreneur and somebody that's been there, great energy. If you can help market for the government, you can market anything.
You know what? Amen, brother. You sure can. If you can wrangle those kittens, you can do anything.
Yeah, yeah. So Howard actually has a product, his oral mouthwash and gel and toothbrush, and it's not a gel. It's amazing product, and I love it. So slap tags, Sherry Lolly, you said stepping stones just the way just as I was typing it. So
Yeah. Yeah, we
yeah.
were thinking the same thing. Mm-hmm.
And Gabriel says, "What a great conversation! Love
Mm-hmm.
Deon's
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
inspirational and insights."
Thank
So
you. Thank you so much, Gabriel.
yeah, the beaches are awesome. I
Oh.
suspect he's talking about Bermuda.
Yeah. I mean, can't get any better, worse than that,
And Rex Powers is out there. Good morning, Russ. Great to see you here again. Well, Rex, I haven't left actually, so I've been here for over a year now, just cranking out these episodes week after week, day after day. So I want to shift a little bit,
Mhm.
Deon, and talk about, we're talking about resiliency. We're talking about
Yeah.
the idea that we have an opportunity to take what we've been beat up over, that
Mhm.
we got to come out of the fetal position and
Yeah.
say, okay, that's done, that's over, moving forward. And how do you or how have you reflected on those experiences, and also what have you done to move you forward now?
Yeah. I have I look for the failure. I look for the opportunity to try something new and understand that it may or may not work and do it anyway. My fear factor is at zero. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm already extremely adventurous and a Sagittarius anyway. So I've already got that kind of flowing through my veins. But I'm ready for anything. My
Yeah.
fear is at zero. I know how many opportunities that are out there. I know that individuals want the content that we create, the products that we've been able to create or even partner with. And and I use it as a learning experience. If they love it, they love it. If they don't, I use the data and I'm a data hoarder. I use the
Oh,
data.
you are a data nerd, huh?
I'm a data nerd. Like I said, I worked in politics for so many years. I can't help but to graph everything.
Yeah.
And so I love finding the data and that point that helps you to understand this is where it happened. This is the demographic. These are the individual psychographics. This is how I use media or various mediums to be able to convey messages. Um, I've learned from it. And
Yeah.
I have continued to fail. That last failure working and starting to work in Bermuda was about 2009. And if we pull up to present day, I've owned a marketing firm. And our business license will say consistently
Yeah.
for over 15 years, but been some no contract days and there's been some plenty contract days in between there. But the successes, I truly outweigh the bad, and just really focusing on the good that we've been able to do for the companies that we work for brings us the greatest joy. It truly, truly does. we vet them heavily and we love them all.
Yeah. Well, and you know from experience long enough that, if you continue to add value to the equation,
Hmm.
it always seems to show up in return.
Yes, it does.
Things
Yeah.
happen to you, introductions. And you're right now in this world with Google and all of
Hmm.
the other opportunities out there to communicate, just like
Hmm.
this.
Yeah.
You're one conversation away to having something that you're looking for.
Yeah, yeah. You're so right. You're so right. And having those conversations and being present is what I knew I realized I wasn't going to ever be able to do if I stayed in the fetal position. It wasn't gonna no one was gonna come to my bedroom and sit on the bedside and be like, so now what do you want to talk about? Oh, you have a great idea? Oh, that's swell. We want to help you. I had to get up, you know what I mean? And I had to do the things. And I know it's easier said than done. You know what I mean? And I really want you to understand I'm not belittling the fact that sometimes it's harder to kind of bounce back. The bounce back is so important, and you realize that there's a group of individuals out there that want to support you in leveling up and whatever that means for you. um, right now we're all going through COVID-19. I'm sitting in
Yeah.
my dining room right now, and in March, beginning of 2020, we all had amazing goals. I had probably more than anyone else, in my world. I was like, we're going to do this. We're going to have this many here. We're going to have this many new clients. We're expanding. We were looking at new office locations, and my husband just bought me a new car. I was living on top of the world. And I will not forget, I was speaking at the University of Louisville's communication forum, and everyone was talking a lot about COVID. Excuse me. Everybody, we had a lot of major concerns, as to what it was going to look like and how long we were going to be in and out of business. And I spoke with them on March the 10th.
Mhm.
And March 13th was the day that I got my first call from a client that I had had for maybe 5 or 6 years at that time. And, they were like, Deon, we're really sorry. We don't know what's going to happen with our economy. They were an international client. So they had been facing the pandemic longer than we had at that point. And, they're like, we're just gonna have to put our contract on pause. And there's not a clause in here that says, can I press pause? You know what I mean? We've read the contract, but we're asking for some grace, And so, of course, like I said, we love all of our clients and enjoy working with them. So we're like, sure. The phone rang from the 13th through the 31st with that same or very similar conversation. And it was like, here we go again. All righty, guys. It's like riding on a canoe and you're approaching the big waterfall and you're like, okay, all right, everybody, we're on a raft. That's where we're
Yeah.
holding on to the sides of our little yellow raft saying, we're about to do this again, aren't we? And um, this time has been a lot different than the others. And I know that everybody understands that this is not like 2008. This is not like any of the other failures that you've had. There is no business to have, or there is no contact to make, or there is no networking event to go and talk to individuals, or, the way that we communicate has completely shifted and completely changed so much that it's been a big adjustment and a big learning curve. And we're still in the curve. We're still trying to figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
how do I network now? I have a tech startup, and we're looking for investors, and it's the funniest thing ever to me because we do marketing for startup companies. So to own a tech startup myself, it's like, so, typically we go to events where they are and we do the whole thing. We fly out and we pitch and and now everything's over Zoom and you can't connect and you can't give the dramatic pause. It doesn't have the same effect. And
Yeah.
you're
The
you're
body
just
language is only partial.
Yeah, yeah, everything has changed, and we're all figuring it out together. And I had to just say, well, I mean, this is pretty darn cool because nobody knows how to do it. And for once, Google can't help you. You can't YouTube out of this situation. There's no SME yet. You know what I mean? To figure out how do we market? How do we reposition? How do we bounce back? There's nobody there to sell it. So we're all just figuring it out. We're all writing our own textbook, and that's
And,
actually
and that's
pretty
and
cool.
that's very cool because when you think of it in those from that lens,
Mhm.
you're thinking about it's a level playing field.
Yes, it is.
A lot of people, I've been a remote worker for, last decade or so.
Mhm.
And so it's really not a change in technology. And I've been used to using this technology for years.
Mhm.
And so a lot of other people are, so the opportunity opens up to help other people learn how to do the technology
Absolutely.
or broadcast like this, and it's like,
Mhm.
okay, you have an opportunity to get your word out, your message, and make those connections in a different way. It's definitely not like networking,
Right. Yeah.
and it's definitely not something that you would normally do in an average year. However, we just did a recent LinkedIn local pop-up with
Mm.
Kenyatta Turner and Art Jones and a couple of different people. We had over 40 people in the room. We did
That's awesome.
breakout rooms, and we learned a lot about each other. And I met several people that I had not had previous connections with
Mhm.
through that adventure. And it's really amazing to meet new people and make new connections like that.
Mhm.
And it's
Mhm.
so we just have to adapt and adopt what is around us and what's going on, and just be resilient as we possibly can. So
Yeah. Yeah. We're all learning. We're all figuring it out. And this time I hate what is happening with our the deaths, especially the news that we got yesterday, and about the sickness. I had COVID back in March.
oh wow.
Myself. It was, I mean, horrible time. But the tests that have come out, being able to say, yes, I had the antibody, I had, the things that we've kind of worked through is really interesting. But this time has caused all of us to just take a collective standstill. Like, let's reevaluate. Let's pull out that old business plan. Let's do another SWOT analysis. Let's figure out where we've gone right and where we've gone wrong, and figure out how we're going to be able to move forward. And that's what we've done at Joint Effort. We've had an amazing time doing that,
Mhm.
because now we're able, despite the fact that we did have such a catastrophic loss, and losing our clients, we've been able to really focus on some of our own products that we were never able to focus on before. So since COVID has happened or has started, I created an ambition planner, and it's called the Ambition Planner. And I wanted a planner for my ambitious lifestyle. I needed something to help me categorize my day and keep me spiritually centered, and I could really focus on my SMART goals, to be able to feel productive and fulfilled at the end of the day. I couldn't find that planner that was culturally inclusive and all of those things, so I created one.
Yeah.
And that was last year, put it on a shelf, probably looked at it for about 1 hour a month or 3 hours a week, sometimes if it was lucky, before COVID. And now we have a full-fledged product. We're launching our new Q4 planners in October. We have a big summit that we're hosting in January called the Be Ambitious Summit.
Oh,
In the past, we have been able to accommodate, 200 or 300 individuals for summits. Now, we have space for up to 5,000 people. Thanks to the internet, everyone is doing their conferences online. So no longer is space a deterrent, from that. And then Pivot actually came from the failure report, because my mother, which I reference a lot, was like, you're going to talk about all these failures and you're going to interview these people. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be great. And she's like, so what are they going to do with all those emotions that you unpack, about those failures, about those things? And I'm
mhm.
like, I don't know, mom. I don't know the answer. And, just kind of hearing her play in the back of my mind caused us to create a professional wellness platform or marketplace where you're
Mhm.
able to find a life coach, consultant, financial advisor, and an executive coach on one platform. And I'm honored to be able to be a member of the Black Founders Exchange, powered by Google,
Mhm.
and they're helping us with mentorship and lots of other amazing resources, because they're Google, to be able to help navigate that. And so that's what we're looking and seeking investors for right now, as we're sourcing individuals to help establish our MVP. It's been I can't. I hate where we are in our country, but I'm thankful for this time to
Yeah.
just be able to create and innovate and stand still and just kind of tap into the greatness that's always been inside of me and inside of all of us, that I've never had time before, because I was on a hamster wheel, doing all the
Yeah.
other things. So
Yeah.
it's been a good
Um,
time. I have to say that's almost how I leave it is, gosh, I'm blessed and I'm grateful
Yeah.
for this time. Yeah.
Yeah. It always changes your life when when you have a little gratitude for what you're going through
Absolutely. Yeah.
and appreciate what you do have and what
Hmm.
you can accomplish with what your experience is, and your as you navigate the waters. on the raft going over the falls.
Oh gosh, you guys can't see my face, but it's bad. Holding onto that little yellow raft. Oh, it's so horrible.
Yeah.
But the waterfall doesn't last forever.
No. So how do people get a hold of you, Deon? What's the best way?
Absolutely. I am in all the spaces and all the places. So the Failure Report, as I stated, you can find them on Spotify or wherever quality podcasts are being streamed. I love that. We're also a web series, so you can also view our podcast on YouTube at the Failure Report. If you're interested in the planner, we are highly present on Instagram, where we do a lot of our communication, and that is theambitionplanner.com or at the Ambition Planner on Instagram, as well as Facebook. I'm personally on LinkedIn a lot. And so you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn at Deon Stokes. I'm extremely accessible. I return all my messages personally, including DMs. So you will speak to me. And then Pivot is stay tuned. You can find our landing page currently at I Can Pivot. That is spelled PVT, or you can spell it out. We bought all the domains.
Excellent.
So icanpivot.com, where you can learn more about Pivot and how we're all trying to navigate pivoting in life and finding professional wellness the best way we can. So that's where you can find me, all the places.
Fantastic. And as you know, we love the pirate community. And if you're not connected with Deon, get connected. Tell her Russ sent you, and drop a note and personal message and let her know that you're a part of the pirate community and you'd love to engage with her as one of the pirates. So thank you so much for being here, Deon. I love the fact that we're always connected. Let's pull the thread and make sure that we keep that intact. Mm-hmm. And also just know that there are people out there going through this that are still trying to figure it out. And so you can actually help them with I Can Pivot, and know that you have resources and help available out there. So reach out to Deon. And also, kindness is cool.
Yes.
Smiles are free.
I love it.
And you enjoy the day. Thank you so much, Deon. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Russ. Y'all have a great rest of the day.
Take care. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.